Principal Dr. Sridhara Shetty, Vice Principal Professor Sandesha Shetty, colleagues and dear participants. Good morning and welcome to day 6 of the 10-day virtual workshop on research methodology in social sciences, organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Bansanga's SM Shetty College in association with Indian Council of Social Sciences Research. Today's session, we will be having 3 parts. The first session will be on quality of survey data and survey estimates. The second session will be a hands-on session, which will be on basics of statistics by Dr. Priyanka Dikshit from TISS. And the post-lunch session will also be a hands-on session on SPSS by Dr. CP Gupta, Professor in Department of Financial Studies, South Campus, University of Delhi. Moving on for the first session today, it is a continuation of the last session yesterday, where we learned about various nuances involved in observation and case study method of research. The session was conducted by our Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator of SM Shetty College, Dr. Liji Santosh. Today, Madam will be telling us about the quality of survey data and survey estimates. I invite Liji ma'am to take over the session.
Thank you, Kalpana. Introductory part you have given to the session. So today's session, as Kalpana ma'am has told, it's about quality of survey data and survey estimates. So I will be dealing only with quality of survey data, as I have to hand over the session at 11 a.m. to Priyanka ma'am. But I hope I'll do justice with this session, with this paucity of time. So surveys are a major part of research. You can't avoid survey when you do research. Yesterday, when we were dealing with observation, survey automatically comes, whether it is in a qualitative form or in a quantitative form. So surveys are very essential part of any type of research. It's a common method, you can say, in any social and behavioral sciences. So since we all are called as social scientists, so it is a part and parcel of our research. Now, we collect data on attitudes, we collect data on behavior, we collect data on gender, we collect data on age, and so on and so on. So there is no limit for collecting data. So let me start my presentation. I hope you all can see the types of research methodology written over.
We can...
Types of research methodology. So there are various types of research methodology, the major 10, which you have studied almost everything. So the 9th part, and that's about surveys, I will be dealing.
Ma'am, this is on the first slide right now.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, whether it is, you are able to see this or not. So can you see now?
It is survey.
Survey.
Yes. So we are on the right.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to show it to all of you, that whether you can see the types of research methodology. There are in general 10 types, major 10 types of research methodology. So almost all the types are covered up by the first and the second resource person. And I will be taking and talking more on surveys. So ideally when we see what is a survey? Surveys are a common method in the social and behavioral sciences to collect data on attitudes, personality, and social behavior. Although we say we do it on this, that, but when we summarize that, it's all about it. So methodological reports should provide a researcher with a complete and a comprehensive overview of the design, collection, statistical processing of the survey that are to be analyzed. So here what this particular paragraph talks about is only one thing, that survey is not just for the one who is doing a thesis or the one who is doing a paper writing. No, it's for the humanity as a whole. When you see that from 1980 onwards, you can say, when slowly computers started coming into picture, the importance of survey also started gaining more momentum. And from 1995 onwards, the need of the survey and collection of survey started getting more and more importance. And during this period from 2010 onwards, it is on a very regular basis we take survey. So survey can be in the form of your appraisals, your feedbacks. Everything is a part of survey. So every day when we take even lectures, we take a feedback from the students, take another form of survey from the students. So survey is very common. It is not something like it has to be a government of census only. No, it is more and above that. So every day we take a survey. So when we sign the muster in the college, so it is a survey taken, like every day how many people are attending the office. So this is a part of the survey. So this is everything we do in a systematic format of collecting even a signing of a muster, taking attendance of the students. Everything is a part of survey. When we collectively do it together, it becomes a survey. So that is why it is said that there are methodological rhythms. I hope I made it very clear to all of you, like what's exactly survey, rather than like talking about all big words and all. Very simple ways I have told you. Is that very clear to all these participants who are here? If I can see a yes or no, I can go ahead with the topic. Thank you, Rashmi. So we will move ahead with the methods which I want to talk about. So I will start with very preliminary matter of surveys. The most common surveys which we do, one and very popular type is called as telephonic survey. And that the second one is like the survey we collect through emails, or previous years, I mean, previous generations, you can say 1950s and in the 18th and 19th and 20th century, people used to collect surveys even through by sending a post mail, like posting letters, and then the letters people used to receive, and then they used to fill the survey, and we used to even put an envelope in it and stating that, this is how you have to return it by filling the forms. So that way also we used to fill the questionnaires and collect the survey data. Another type is nowadays which we do it, like it's called as your online survey. Whether it is Survey Monkey or through Google Forms, we do this kind of survey. It's called as, online service. Then it is the very important and the precious survey models. Even today, the world, even including World Bank and IMF data says that when you go for a face-to-face survey, the authentic data which you can collect even by observing their behavior and attitudes. So that's called as face-to-face survey. So when you think about this first type of survey, that is over the phone, you take an appointment of the person, you keep your questionnaire at the time, and then you collect the data. You are not going to face that person, but over the phone, they will be giving you the information. We call it as telephonic survey through mobile phone or any phone. Like even today, people collect it even through the Zoom link and Google Meet. You take an appointment and then call the person. So this kind of interaction is emerged in this 21st century more. Then by mail, when you will do the survey through emails, your population or your sampling size is very well decided, because you know that these are the couple of people whom I have to mail, not everybody. And if you want to collect data from academics, you know that you need to collect the data from academic population only. So accordingly, you mail them, but you have to wait. And you don't know whether the person who is receiving the mail has seen it or not. So this kind of problems are associated with it. And there is no surety that you will be getting it in a day or no. But when it comes to online data, like you are sending it to anybody and everybody, you don't know who is actually filling the data. You don't know the authenticity of the data. And there is no conformity like whether the data filled is correct or not. And it can even be one-sided. For example, if Kalpana ma'am's friends are filling it up for her, so we will be doing everything for her, kind of an attitude comes. An unknown person in an unknown area is not doing that. But it is very, like it's not at all time consuming. It saves your time a lot. It is very convenient kind of a sample survey is being done through, you can say through Google Forms. So that's why it is very, essential and very easy to obtain survey through this method of, like online platforms. Using online platforms, you can do survey very easily. Another and the most popular survey, which is actually a lot of time consuming and you need to take a lot of efforts by doing it, is called as face-to-face survey. This is field survey. You go to the field and you explain to them about your questionnaires and you understand whether they understood this or not. These all are the advantages, because you will understand that the answer which they are sharing with you is carrying a lot of weightage for your survey results. So therefore, if you can see how government takes census data, you must have seen in 2011, you may be very young at that time, or somebody may be very matured at that time. So people come door to door and then they come and sit with you. And it's almost around 10 to 15 pages data which they have to fill it from you. So they collect each and every information. And in general, it is seen that in India, when the government census survey happens, it's conducted by even school teachers and college teachers like us. But the authenticity, they see to it that it is happening more. Everybody is not filling up it, fraudulent practices are not used much over there. So by this itself, you can understand what is the authenticity of the survey. So authentic survey happens only when the authentic data is collected. So therefore, the data collection in the form of interviews or in the form of questionnaires, whichever methods you use to collect the data, but that should be very, very authentic. So this is very important when it comes as a part of the survey. When this topic was assigned to me, I was only thinking about my experiences with NABARD, wherein we used to go to the field, like in the villages, we used to meet the farmers, we used to sit with them, sharing their knowledge on the paddy and the wheat field. And then upon their knowledge, we used to use and consult them to use particular type of fertilizers to be used in the agriculture. So this is very important that to know the people, because whatever said and done, sometimes even an illiterate farmer gives you more knowledge than a literate farmer. That has been my own experience I'm sharing with you. So through that, the survey data becomes very rich, and the richness will give you a better model to construct in the research. So that's why surveys are very, very important. I hope this is followed by everybody. Now moving on to this surveys, mail is very time consuming. Phone has got a lot of money as associated with it, because it's your phone bill which you have to pay more, because the more people you contact. Face to face, it's time consuming as well as it is expenditure driven. There is a lot of funding is required here. So if you're getting any funded research, so in such cases, what you can do is because the one who is funding your research, they want better data, and they prefer to fund you only when you write that you are going to the field and doing that research. Otherwise, the amount which you get for fund also automatically comes less. So when you apply for a funded research, it is better that you go for a face-to-face and the field survey. On the field data will give you a better research. Now, when you think about survey, quality of survey, you cannot think anybody else other than Wisberg. Wisberg has given a lot of documentation data since 1990 onwards. His research papers are being observed and studied more in the world. So let me take you to Wisberg's analysis of survey documentation and survey quality. So when you take survey, that's why I have given you a preamble for 15 minutes, so that when I take you to this area of survey documentation and survey quality, so you should not be, in such kind of phobia, like, is it that important? So remember, surveys are used as a secondary data, as well as surveys can be primary data by yourself for your research. So when it is secondary data, in the last stage of this presentation, I will take you to some of the authentic websites wherein you can find better data collection. So let me take you to this area of survey documentation and survey quality, wherein you can see that total survey error is the most important thing. And let me classify it into various areas and let us study this kind of survey error, how it happens. So what is survey error? Total survey error. It's very important, and as I'm telling you, Wisberg has given us lot of areas related to total survey error. So what is this uh, total survey error wherein he is talking about? So some of the total survey documentation and quality has got a lot of survey errors, wherein it talks about some errors that relate to the selection of the respondents. The first error which comes out from the selection of the respondent. Remember, dear fraternity from my academia, that no survey comes without error. All survey has got its own types of error, which is associated with. So you don't have to worry that there are no survey error, like my survey should be error. No, it never happens. Survey errors are the part of survey documentation and survey quality. So you need not have to worry about it. But when you will test your survey quality, then it should not exceed more than 15%. So it is expected that 10 to 15% error will happen. That is why the statisticians say that you go for more samples so that you can actually erase the error which happens in the survey. So first type such kind of errors, that is errors that relate to the selection of the respondents. So why it happens? It happens from the random sampling errors, like it's called as coverage error. So here the coverage error occurs when sampling frame does not cover all the elements of the target population. Okay, sampling frame, you have a sampling frame of a particular village or a particular area in a city, so that error, that coverage, your sampling frame is not covering all the target population. For example, you are visiting a home for collecting a survey, and if in the same place, one person is hospitalized. So obviously there is a coverage error happening, and it is depends on the selection of the respondents. So you may be targeting 4 people over there, but you have to come out with 3 people's response. You got it? So that's the errors that related to the selection of the respondents. Then you can also say that this fluctuation even happens when there is some kind of non-response error. What do you mean by this non-response error? Non-response error is that at individual level, the so-called unit level occurs certain segments of the population, they systematically refuse to comment on anything. But you need the answer. But over there, there is, so over there, there is people refuse to survey that. Okay, so in random sampling errors are very common because you randomly pick up an area and pick up some households, and this kind of coverage error is very common in random sampling. But in non-random sampling, it seldom happens. You can say that. So sampling errors are very common in such kind of things. So another area which happens is like the accuracy of the measured responses. So that's called as the second category. So your items non-response error, that's a word accurately used by Wisberg, arises when the respondents selectively avoid answering a particular question. For example, you have your survey consists of 50 questions. Some people don't like to answer certain questions. So this is like this actually creates some issues related to the accuracy of the measured responses. So the measurement error is due to the respondent. Question is, or sometimes not only that, they refuse to respond certain questions, but the other questions they respond. But sometimes they don't understand what is the question is. So it even depends upon the interviewer to make them understand this is the way this question is. So this kind of accuracy of the measured responses happens more in open responses when you give some kind of open-ended questions to the people, and they may not be giving you the answers which you expect. And this error happens more in kinds of you can say this internet type of responses when you collect, whether it is through your emails or whether it is through the online platforms whenever you collect responses. So this kind of errors are normal. Respondents avoid answering a particular questions. And the third category, which gives us the mode effects, it's called as administration of survey errors. So here Wisberg has actually spoke more on the errors that are associated with administration's error. It's called as mode effects. So this is like which mode of data collections you are going to use. You can say it actually influences the obtained results rather, because there are different practices by the survey organizations which is being used by the people. Some people insist they divide the work amongst the surveyors. So it depends on the surveyor also, like how they are going to collect the data. So here what is required is like when you do, in the editing mode also, like the correlation of errors in the data happens, we call it as cleaning of the data. So cleaning of the data happens while editing the data. You can seriously clean whatever is not required, and then according to then the correlation errors are generally going to happen over there. Then comes the processing errors. That depends upon how do you handle the data. So sometimes it also depends upon how you can say incorrect and inadequate weightage of the survey data is being provided in such cases. So you can say this is how the processing error normally happens in handling the data, or it's associated with the administration of a survey. So when you administer a data, you need to see to it that like what are the mode effects, that's like the mode of survey of data collection is very important. After the data have been collected, they are extensively edited. So the editing refers to what I've written over there as correlation of errors of the data, often called as cleaning, and there can be the weighting factors get affected. So the errors that occur when handling the data, as I've called it over there as processing errors, and caused by incorrect or inadequate weightage of the survey data. So we call it as adjusting errors. Okay, so this is you can say the total survey error in general happens. So now moving on to the next part. Assessing the quality of survey documentation. So basic requirements. A beautiful pattern which I have taken a clip from Wisberg's sources of error. So when you assess the quality of survey documentation, certain basic requirements are needed. So we call it as flow of survey research. So what are the flow in the survey research? Starting point is the description of the objectives of a survey project. So in this section, the potential users should be concisely informed concerning the background of the study and the research problems and the study addresses. So your study has got a research problem. So you should actually inform the person to whom or the section of the people whom you are going from. Like when the census people come home, so normally they inform like it is all about the government census data, and census is all about so and so, because many people even don't know what is census data all about. So the basic requirements is like informing them, and the reminder of the report addresses about the methodological aspects and so on. So here I want to take up this particular chart which is given by Wisberg, the key questions in preparing a methodological report. So please understand, like depending upon the question you ask, in the report section, what kind of error you get. And this error, which I have already told you, this kind of error is going to occur when you ask this type of questions. Like for what purpose? So for what purpose were the data collected? Okay, so like your objective and design has to be fulfilled. That is a purpose for which the report, this question has been asked. related to the question related to for what purpose this data has been collected. Like if it for census or if it for development of paddy field in Pali village in Maharashtra. So for what is that? These are the purposes, right? The purpose behind data being collected, because that is the objective behind your research, and that's how you can actually frame the design, isn't it? So that's very important that your design is actually covered. So the error can occur over there is your sampling or the coverage error. That's simple things which happens. Now when however the respondents selected, so that depends upon your target population and which sampling method you use. Okay, it's very simple. So in a very simple manner, I'm trying to get this important area of quality of survey documentation, like how were the respondents selected? Whether it is, so then your respondent selection depends upon your target population and on your sampling method, which you are going to use. So we have learned a lot of sampling designs when we learned the basic sampling framework from Dr. Sudhar. So that's how the target population need to be selected and which sampling method you use. Again, error which is possibility is, as I told you in the previous slide when I was explaining, it's the sampling error which is going to come up. So how were the data collected? So here are the mode effects, which I just told you while administrating the survey. It's the mode of data collection that over there the mode effect happens. What information was collected? Obviously, it is through the survey instruments which you are going to use for. So through that, the respondent related measurement error, or I know that can happen. Then who has the collected data when and where? Obviously, it is through the field work. And here the interviewer related measurement error. Who is the interviewer? Who is going to sit with them? What kind of questions? Whether they are successful in making the respondent understand the question they are asking. So these kind of errors are very, very common when it comes to who has collected the data, when and where. It's very important. So the comfort of the interviewer, the comfort of the surveyor is very important. So the field work, which field you are going for. So here I'll tell you one very recent experience of an NGO run by Dr. Vibhuti Patel, wherein she has collected a lot of data related to the women going lot of stress during the COVID-19 pandemic when everything was locked down. So over there, when they were visiting the homes, it was like they found the women struggling a lot from the surveys talks about this, but they were refused to respond to the struggles which they were going through. So here the interviewer related measurement error is very, very, you can say very, very important and how it has been done. I'll tell you as a young researcher, when we used to do research in Ville Parle slums, this is Ville Parle is a place in Mumbai. So over there, the slums where the women stay, when we ask the most satisfying thing you would like to have in your life, in a very simple manner, we used to ask the survey questions to the women. So they were very comfortably and very innocent answer, which actually I still remember, was very, you can say heartbreaking answer, I must say, because when we live in old luxuries and when we go to these people, so the compassion towards your research is important. So the answer which I got from a woman was, one day in my life, just listen to the answer, one day in my life, I want to stretch my legs and sleep. So please understand that these women don't even have a place to sleep wherein they can stretch their legs and sleep. So this is my own experience I'm sharing with you, because this is like, where how the interview related measurement error can happen if you don't take it in which way you have to measure the design and objective related questions. It's very, very important. Then how were the data edited, coded and weighted? I'm sure yesterday ma'am has given us a lot of color coding methods were through, for data processing methods. So over here, your administrative error, processing errors, adjustment errors are obviously going to occur. So in economics, we find this kind of errors when we measure the balance of payment data. That is about the international trade when it happens. This generally happens in balance of payment. So were the provisions of data protection laws respected? Please remember your data needs to have a protection. So there are a lot of data protection laws associated with wherein you need to basically get into that and then protect your data. So the sources here are that if you ignore the legal issues, obviously you will get into the problems, report section with the problems related to data protection. I hope that's fine with everyone, like you all are following what I'm saying. So I'm deliberately adding some stories so that, you know, this is very technical session. So you should not get, it should not be a very monotonous one. Now moving on to the other basic requirements, let me tell you like what are the other basic requirements when we do the data social survey. So here the target population and sampling is very, very important. So the population that survey is intended to represent should be very clearly defined in this section. So this includes the exact eligibility criteria. That is like which eligibility in the sense doesn't mean that, you know, you should be eligible to do a survey. It's related to your age, which age group you are going to survey. That matters a lot, isn't it? Then which gender you are going to survey. Are you targeting only female or are you targeting transgender? And are you targeting citizenship? Are you targeting the residents? Which typing of houses? Like sometimes it is said that you target a section where you know their ration card says, you know, their PDS card says that they are below the poverty line. So in such cases, we cannot assure, you know, like you will find them only in huts. No, it's absolutely wrong intention. I'll tell you my experience of field survey talks that people who live in mansions and bungalows have got ration cards which says and which speaks that they are below poverty line. So they get all the government amenities, and this is a fact. So which I've written in my research. So this is a fact. So your target population and sampling errors automatically happens if you don't target the population and sampling correctly. So this is one of the basic and the very important requirements we find over there. Then also it is said that here the stratification sampling, when you will use it over here at particular sampling stage when you will use it, or when you can also say that multi-stage sampling method also you can use it when targeting population and deciding sampling. So most of them are you know, proportionate or disproportionate. You have to decide like which it's the sampling decision. I've seen in one, somebody has asked me a question like which type of sampling we should use while surveying. It actually depends upon your research design and your objectives. So if your objective and research design speaks that you should go for a proportionate or a disproportionate sampling, or you should go for a stratified sampling, go for that. So, and sometimes at different stages, you may need to use different types of sampling. So that's very, very important in this factor. Then there are mode of data collection. Here, each method of data collection has got a specific advantage and disadvantage, and also implication on your sampling frames. So if your sampling frame is, say, Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh, so the respondent selection and measurement, which are relevant to the evaluation of the study. So it's very important in practice. There are different survey modes are combined within this particular study. So your modes of data collection is very, very important. And then what kind of survey instrument you should use. I mean, somebody has asked me a direct question on what is the survey instrument. So here the methodology report of, you can say that it entails a description of the content of the questionnaire. So for this purpose, I must say, I must advise you to go for a group related sets of questions. So that is, your questionnaire should be grouped very well, you know, so that, you know, like this kind of people are anyhow not going to answer this group of questions. So whenever you frame your questionnaire, it should be grouped into group A, B, C, D, and you know that this gender or this group, age group, or this citizen is going to answer this particular thing only. So it will be very easy for us to analyze, and this kind of survey instrument, and one is obviously the questionnaire, another one is interview. So your interview, then your validity and reliability of your survey will be more accurate. So then even programming code, when you do it on computers, of the questionnaires in the computer assisted interviews would be a part of the public survey instrument documentation. So it will help you a lot. When it comes to field work, I must say it's something which is very favorite of mine. So the least standardized section of the methodological report is documentation is called as field work. So when you think like field work is very important, no, field work can be enjoyed, but what you noted down, your response rates and so on, it's more important. So it's said that the least standardized section in any kind of survey is a field work. So it has no standard pattern. So you can actually do your field work. If you're doing the field work, do it in a very, you can say sometimes very informal way, and get the data done from them. So you can do your field work in any ways, whichever you want to do. Then when it comes to the response rate, the reporting of the response rate should be based on the detailed recommendations of all the public opinion research. One very popular one, public opinion research, as far as I know, is American Association for Public Opinion Research, which is even adopted by Government of India. So basically the response rates is a ratio of the actual realized interview. So your response rate is very, very important. And in web survey, when you do this Google and Survey Monkey kind of thing, using probability-based internet panels or non-responsive may occur during this recruitment stage itself. So when you think that this is my academia group wherein I have to post my Google survey, so you know that it is there is not of probability is that many may not be responding. So the response rate is very important, and you should know like this group everybody is going to respond. So depending on that, your survey should be floated up. So response rates, you should actually take care of the response rate of the survey. Data processing is a very basic requirement, and wherein a set of problems that is frequently underestimated are the errors that occur after actual survey. So after actual survey has been done, then you come to know like what all kind of errors you are going to find out in the data processing area. So this process of data preparation, weighting variables are also prepared by the survey organization or the survey research team. Here I am actually talking only about a team of survey done by the Reserve Bank of India or NABARD. So I was very fortunate to assist one survey prior to pandemic time. You can say during pandemic time, one survey related to secondary data done by RBI. So during assisting them, it was like we were only provided the data with which is completely secondary. So like from the banks and from the finance organization, from SEBI, and based on that, the building up of certain parameters for measuring up of credit worthiness has to be measured of the people and certain banks. So here, while processing data, you really understand like what kind of administered errors actually will come up. So data processing is a very important stage in survey. So you have to understand this. Then comes data protection. Here the survey research is mainly based on the voluntary participation of the individuals that is gained through your informed consent. So you should assure the people to whom you are taking care of the data. You should not say, as yesterday Krupa ma'am was saying, like Rani from this particular village has disclosed me this data. Please don't do that. You know, the data which you have collected, you are collecting it voluntarily. If you are asking it anonymously, then the error, you can say the error which is going to occur will be maximum. So the data protection is very important, and you should give lot of people a lot of protection things. And assurance also should be given. This means that individuals should have received sufficient information on a voluntary nature and aims and possible risk of participation in the research project. So, the women or anybody, any kind of gender, when you go there and then ask them, like in 2012, one small research paper I've written on transgender, wherein I went to them. It was very scary for me. It was very young. Then I went to them to collect the data. So I have to make them understand first, like, why am I here? And what are your problems? Where am I going to represent? And so on. Luckily, I had an NGO support with me, so it was very easy for me to get it. So it was very important from their point, like the data should be protected. So that was the first assurance you should be given to the people when you do that. You cannot disclose the data like this is from this group of people, fine, but not with the name, and their privacy should be protected over here. So the researchers should recognize all this, survey parts as very, very important. Another area which I want to talk to you about requirements for interviewer administered surveys. It should include a lot of active members, for in-person and telephonic and interview surveys. You should include active members to get it surveyed. So as I told in yesterday's session, like your network is your network. So it's very important to have all this kind of part, and it increases, your number of contact attempts. Sometimes you need to contact them several times, but if you are crazy about your research, you will definitely do that. So, and you should always see to it that, the weekday you are talking to them, or time, and give importance to their time and their privacy. So, dear colleagues and friends, like this is the proposed methodology report checklist, and this is a very standard checklist which is used by the whole over the world, including World Bank or IMF. So what should be, there is a proposed methodology report checklist, it is called as. What should be there in your report section, and what are the disclosure items you need to use while designing the research, while targeting the population and sampling, and doing the mode of data collection, what kind of survey instruments you should use, what is your field work, and the response rate, data processing and data protection, and ethical issues related to that. So this is, I can say, something which covers everything. Whatever I spoke just now, it's a summary of whatever I said. I think this is very, very useful if you are a serious surveyor and doing research in any kind of research, whether it is social science research or whether it is research related to mathematics, anything, but it's very important and very essential part. I'm not going to describe it. So now let's move on to the, this is for my colleagues who all do this quality of data in online research. I have created it basically to help out the people who do, and they say that they don't have time to go to the field and do that, although that is the best, but the basics of quality, like strategies to enhance quality of data in online research. So here the basics of data quality assurance comes from recruiting the right participants. I just keep on telling that whenever you float your questionnaire in any group, so you should know that you are recruiting the right participants here. Then you should ensure that participant attention. So we know that when we need to take out any particular participant attention, we keep on posting it several times. So several attempts is required to do that. And verifying the participant demographics is very, very important. It should match with your survey requirements. Screening or discouraging the dishonest survey takers, please screen them out. Like which discouraging dishonest survey takers. Avoiding non-native participants, very important. Ensuring that the participants fully understand the survey language. Your survey language is very important. Yesterday, Gupta sir was talking about which type of language you should use while doing the survey. Then the simple steps to improving the data quality while doing online survey is that you should understand the differences between the online platforms. Please understand the difference between the online platform. Some platforms will give you authentic survey answers. Some platforms may not. Some people have got, there is a survey done by some researchers in Turkey, and on which survey online platform is better to do survey. Like it is like on Survey Monkey versus Google survey. So and so on. So you can refer to this kind of papers wherein you, while selecting which type of online platform you should use, make informed decisions when evaluating the participant attention. It's very important, give it to them personally rather than putting it into a group. Make informed decisions when evaluating the participant attention. Very, very essential. Now, this is just one, can say small discussion on while reporting the survey. So this is something which I have received when as a small researcher. So you can say this is like a pattern of reporting the survey. So now many of you must have completed your survey and you don't know how to report the survey. So whenever you report your tables, which you create a table, you have given it to somebody to create the table. See to it that somebody else is, doing your tables. They may be giving you 1,000 pages tables and create out of your survey. So over here, you should understand, like when you report, just take care of these 5 questions. Believe me, friends, these 5 questions will give you an accurate reporting. Like, what is the purpose of our aim of this survey? Like, this survey is about so and so. The aim of the survey is to understand and find out this one. This survey was conducted on which date? Very important. Period is very important because that actually gives a result. And how was the information gathered? So this information was gathered through internet using this kind of platform. What kind of questions did you ask during the survey? The survey has got these many parts like A, B, C, D. Then the first part is about so and so. Second part is about general information. Second part is about collecting, you can say women entrepreneurs. Third part is about collecting the other area, say about microfinance and so on. So that is the fourth part. Fifth part is about how many people answered and who are they. So there were, you can say 300 respondents and they were from this category. Beautifully done. And then you conclude your introduction with this statement. So this is the way, if you write this way, I think this is going to give you a lot of accuracy to your survey reporting. Although survey reporting was not a part of this, but survey quality has got everything included up to survey reporting. So therefore, I deliberately taken up this chart and taken a click and giving it to you so that, you don't do mistakes while reporting the survey. So reporting is very, very important, and just aim at this 5 questions and write this. So I'm telling you, friends, this is going to give you an accurate answer for any type of survey you do, whether you are doing online survey or whether you are doing any type of survey, but this is going to give you a very accurate result. Now I'll take you to some data sources on internet. That's very important because when you learn this. Okay, I think I have a lot of questions. Okay, so don't worry, I'll show you this survey. So you can see my internet. Anybody, Kalpana, can you answer? Can you see what's written over there?
Yes, ma'am. It says our data.
Yeah.
538 something.
Yes. So this website is a very authentic website. It's all over the world called as data.538.com. So this data, whichever you want to have any kind of predictions related data, so over there you can find it. Another one is about BuzzFeed news. So any news, in the world, which they make it as very public news. So you can see this if you go to github.com, and this is a very authentic data field used by all over the world, wherein this is accepted by all the surveyors, like this is called as BuzzFeed news. Then a very authentic data sets, like this is something which even Vinopol was talking about, Kaggle. wherein you get all the data sets required for you can explore it, you can analyze the data, you can even share the quality of the data. So all this kind of trending data, whether it is human action detection on artificial intelligence, on anything, you can find it out on Kaggle. So this is freely available and you don't have to pay for this kind of data. Or I'm not aware of that. Then I have already spoken about gig field. Now, this is a very interesting Google Cloud data form. It's called as BigQuery. So BigQuery is a public data and actually built by Google, or it's available on Google Cloud. So you can subscribe for that, and then like your Google Scholar kind, whenever it's your data you want, and you can subscribe for Google Scholar. So they will give you enough data for your, even review of literature and many more things. So this is again, BigQuery data is very freely available, and which language you want, Google gives you anything related to this kind of data. So this public data set is any data set that is stored in BigQuery and made available on the general public. So you can use this kind of data. Another one is academic torrents. This is basically for my IT colleagues or any other people, science people who are applying for it. Any data, you check it out on academic torrents, it is available. It is amazing if you want to do anything on it. Another one is about data is plural. So here we are talking about data plural. This is some nice things. You can also write your email address. You can subscribe for that. It is a weekly newsletter on whichever data sets you need. They rightly say that it's for the curious researchers. So many recent editions on many things you will be getting on it. This is, I have deliberately taken up for my colleagues who are doing on, on government data, statistical data, other than the normal NSS data and other census of India.gov. So other than that, you have even RBI's data bank, wherein you get anything related to banking and small industrial setups and NABARD data banks. But this one, you get many Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, wherein you get the National Data Bank. So anybody who is doing any research areas on National Data Bank, and you can even be a surveyor here, work on for their survey, and then you can, do a lot of data access. So here the data access is given for education, health, labor and employment, and even for population. So you can see like on education, just one example I'm giving you. Here, the school enrollment. It is written that like school enrollment from 2007 to 8 and 9 to 8. I mean, everything is allowed, available over here. The dropout rates from 2006 and 7 and everything related to school education is available. Like health, many people go for, marital status by religious communities. Each and everything, the survey is available, and even on labor and employment, and the highly authentic data, nobody will question it. And last one, which I want to show you, is about, obviously this is my favorite, and it's called as World Bank data. So World Bank gives you this on worldbank.org, all this kind of data, wherein this I deliberately taken up on India Bank. So India home World Bank data, you find a lot of variations when you will do with the World Bank data of India home, and then you can compare it with NSS data. So the major thing which we have surveyed when we have seen it is World Bank says something about our poverty ratio, and then our NSS data says something different. So there is sometimes you find that comparatively there is a lot of differences which is being seen in the World Bank home, and World Bank pays huge amount for the people who do surveys for them. So World Bank India Home is a website wherein you will understand lot of people who do a lot of areas on surveys and on COVID-19 and on relatively everything. So they do a lot of World Bank India data, and on 75 years of Indian independence and what all things they are doing. Everything is done by, surveys are available on World Bank. So you can see like how the data is calculated and analyzed and many things. So you may be surprised like World Bank knows more about India than our own people. So what is early childhood Indian bank? And then they even give you a lot of predictions about these kind of, through these websites. And obviously NABARD and RBI stands out in this all kind of surveys, which I know like you all know about all these things, so I don't want to show it, but something which I hope, like I felt like people may not be knowing about, so I wanted to show this to all of you. So yeah, with this I end my session. Thank you so much for having patiently listening to me. And this was very technical session, and it was not like I can link a lot of things people. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am, for that extremely informative session. There were so many sites. I mean, that there's really new things that we have learned today. I will quickly take the questions from the chat box. There is one participant is asking about suitable sampling method for those type of surveys. I think, sir, you will have to give us a reference as to which kind of surveys you are asking for. So you can please raise your hand and we will take your question. I will move on while you do that. Result of research depends on quality of survey by researchers. I think that is just a comment. And of course, there are many other compliments in the chat. What are research problems? I think these topics have been taken in great details in the past few days. You can access our YouTube link for reviewing the videos. I'm sure they will clarify your doubts. Again, the next question is on difference between sampling frame and sampling unit. This too has been covered. Okay, somebody has asked for a previous slide. Again, you have to give us a reference as to which slide do you want to see. Please raise your hand so that we can, try and get that slide for you. Also, again, like I said, YouTube link for this session is there on our website. It will also be shared in the Telegram group. You can access the link again and see. Okay, again, I think it's more on sampling. Which statistical data processing is used best for current, for rank order? Coefficient, socioeconomic, pre, present, and post. Socio-science research. Which statistical data processing is used?
So for this, I will suggest there are several data processing methods used into. I will only suggest, because Priyanka ma'am will join at any time. So I'll only suggest that please go to refer Wisberg's, websites, wherein they have in detail written like which kind of data processing instruments you need to use. And it also depends upon your research design. Please don't forget that your survey always depends on your research design. So what type of research design you are going to design and depends upon everything else follows. So the basic is your research design, whether it is sampling or anything, but even your sampling depends on your research design. Please follow that.
Okay, we have another question. Sometimes the statistical data differs on UN report and World Bank report. How to analyze such data?
Yes. So one thing is that here there is, you cannot compare it. This question we have been asking since several years. So this is very close to my heart. This is a very good question rather. So I would say that even UN data differs, IMF data differs, IMF and World Bank data differs. And I told while talking about this, even NSS data differs from what we generally see. So in this case, it depends upon the kind of research you are doing. So if you're talking only about Indian data and you wanted to authentically refer GOV data, go for gov.org. Don't go for any other data. And since if you want to do anything internationally well, then go for World Bank data. So it depends upon again on your research design and your research problem. There will be variations because it depends upon the surveyor and the survey error is going to happen. So it's not an error. It depends on how authentic you are doing the survey. That is why the survey quality all matters together. The crux of this topic is all about survey quality. So that's why deliberately I've shown you the different various websites, because various websites you will find various data. So it's on the wisdom of the researcher, like which website you need to use.
Okay, and we have one last question from a very active participant, Ms. Reshmi Pillai. She's asking whether I need to collect data from aided and non-aided colleges under Mumbai University for my PhD work. Is there a source from where I can get this categorized data?
Unfortunately not, because University of Mumbai don't disclose all the data of all the faculties in general, because it keeps on changing. Not only University of Mumbai, any university, if you will check it out in all over India, except the central universities, wherein it is available on MHRD websites. But yes, MHRD websites has got, Ministry of Education. If you see Ministry of Education's website, you will be finding some type of data. But as far as our universities are concerned, it is not. Institutions list, yes, it is available. Yes.
Yeah. So I think the question was on institution list for aided and non-aided. So that list is available.
Available, yes. On our MU, it is available.
Mumbai University
website. But you have to search it. Searching itself is a big deal in Mumbai University website. Yes.
Okay, I think that is about it. We were asking for 2 participants to tell us what data they needed. If you're here, you may ask now. Otherwise, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Ravina Shetty to kindly give a formal vote of thanks. Over to you.
Good morning, one and all. On behalf of SM Shetty College of Science, Commerce and Management Studies, I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Liji Santosh, for this wonderful session on quality of survey data and survey estimates. Thank you, ma'am, for such an enriching and resourceful session. I'm sure all the participants have been deeply benefited with this session. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's always been a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you, dear participants, for joining us for this 10 days workshop and making this session so lively with your queries and feedback. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Participants, please don't leave and please wait, because we have another session going to begin
we will
now.
be starting a session now. Yes.